Today in our series, World of Motion, we examine the long and sometimes difficult journey that many people make in their search for a better life. Wars in Syria and Afghanistan are driving refugees through Turkey as they make their way to Greece. So many land on the Greek island of Lesbos, which has become the epicenter for the country's migrant crisis. Roxana Saberi traveled there and joined the last remaining humanitarian rescue boat in the area, helping people get across the sea.
This scenic island is known for its tourism, but for many migrants and refugees, it's the gateway to a new life here in Europe. Off the coast of the Greek island of Lesbos come cries for help. A dinghy has capsized, flinging frightened passengers into the sea. These Afghan migrants all survived thanks to this small crew. Their name is Refugee Rescue, and their mission is to save lives when people seeking safety and stability dare to cross this perilous stretch of water from Turkey to Greece. It's about 6 miles from Turkey, which is right behind us, to Lesbos, which is right over here. Turkey is home to the world's largest refugee population. With a crackdown on migrants in Turkey and tough immigration policies elsewhere in Europe, the number of people fleeing to Lesbos by sea has soared, the UN says, to more than 16,000 so far this year. That's the biggest influx since 2016. As the only NGO left in Lesbos with a rescue boat, the Swiss-based Refugee Rescue is working overtime all the time.
We are tired, but that's our job.
In the middle of the night, we watched as they helped bring dozens of Afghan migrants to shore. That's where we met Zahra and her 18-month-old son, Mojtaba. She said, "We had a lot of trouble. Our dinghy was overcrowded and the motor stopped working." This is the dinghy they came in on. There's water in the back of it, and it looks deflated. And these are a couple of the life jackets they were wearing. You can tell just by holding them, they're fake.
Most of them never saw water or don't know how to swim.
But are you creating an atmosphere where you're actually encouraging more migrants and refugees to come? Because they know they'll be rescued by people like you.
People did not start crossing because we were here. People are desperate and they seek safety.
That's why Zahra says she fled Afghanistan. We met her again at a UN transit camp where we saw busloads of Syrians, Yemenis, and Afghans stop for food and medical care. What would you like to say to those people who rescued you last night? She said, "We're very grateful for them. Without them, we don't know where we would have ended up." To get an idea of just how many people have made the dangerous journey across the sea, take a look at this. Tens of thousands of life jackets discarded on this hill in Lesbos, piling up to make what's known here as the Mountain of Misery. For many migrants, the misery flows even onto shore at Camp Moria. Built for 3,000 people, it's bursting with 13,000. Crammed into tattered tents, with no electricity and no school, they wait.
Many months, no solution.
The UN's Philip Leclerc calls this place a time bomb. What about those skeptics who say we don't have enough space for more migrants?
Well, for refugees, people fleeing war, persecution, you have no choice. It's the basic human values.
That's why the young volunteers at Refugee Rescue say they do what they do. This Afghan man named Farhad told me he attempted this treacherous journey across the sea 4 times. He said he couldn't believe that he actually made it this time. He was afraid that they would all die on the way here, and his hope is for his children to study in the future and to succeed. What do you feel when you rescue these people who are making this crossing?
Both relief and frustration, because it's going to be a long journey.
Refugees still living in camps on this island hope their asylum requests are approved before winter sets in. In the meantime, more people keep arriving on these shores. For CBS This Morning, Roxana Saberi, Lesbos, Greece.
Incredible footage. And
Yeah.
every time I see it, I think of that poem, that I'm paraphrasing here, but you don't put your child on a boat unless the water is safer than the land.
Yeah, it's desperate as the conditions are in that refugee camp. It tells you how desperate what they're fleeing is, that they're willing to.
And as a matter of historical fact, we're all migrants or descendants of migrants. We've been walking around this planet for a long time, and this is what's happening today.
And we take so much for granted, and you see people are literally risking their lives to
Yep.
come to this country.
Yeah. All right.